Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Rutledge. I'm CEO of Med Results Network. I want to thank you for coming out tonight, and I also want to wish you happy holidays. I'm really proud to bring on somebody that we've got a lot of faith in, the Corganics team. In 2018, we started to get approached, and it was after the Farm Bill was passed, by a lot of CBD companies. And we saw a lot of companies that were kind of bootstrapped, a little bit unorganized. None of these companies had executives that had any kind of pharmaceutical background or anything. And then we started to hear a few years later from physicians in our network about Corganics. Corganics is a CBD company. The co-founders are Chad Collins and Reggie Gatewood. They have big pharma experience and combined their almost 20 years in the aesthetic and dermatology industry with Galderma. And they came along and told us their proposition. They certainly have an understanding of the market. We know that CBD is here. It is, the genie's out of the bottle. It's not going away. We see that there are a lot of med spas out there, as well as surgery practices that have been looking for an alternative for things that David Weir will be mentioning. He's with the Dallas Institute of Plastic Surgery. Reggie and Chad will introduce him. I would like to introduce to you Reggie and Chad from Corganics. Guys, are you out there?
We are. Do you have us?
Sure do.
Hear us, Jeff?
I sure can.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, we thank you very much for this platform. Thank you for the opportunity and the trust that you have in Corganics. So as Jeff mentioned, we're excited to be here tonight. We're going to be sharing quite a bit of information around CBD and why it's applicable in the aesthetic setting, because that's really, really important. Your patients are in the Wild West today, and there are things that you can do to maybe incorporate or bundle our products. And so, but the key is having one that you literally trust. Reggie and I, as mentioned, do go back several years in the pharma industry with very reputable companies that have spent a lot of time in your world. So maybe we'll start with some slides, and then we'll be excited to introduce our special guest with you tonight that will share very specifically how you could use Corganics Clinical CBD. So we always like to start with literally, finally, CBD you can trust. Jeff said it really well. It's the Wild West out there. One of the key differentiators for our organization is the fact that our products are dispensed or recommended exclusively by healthcare professionals. So you can't find us in the retail setting. We're pharma grade, we're clinical, and we'll share more about that here in just a moment. So as mentioned, our background is pretty substantiated, yes, but substantive in pharmaceuticals, medical device. And so specifically in aesthetics, we've worked in dermatology and aesthetics and plastic surgery environments for a couple of decades, both with Galderma, also with Sanofi's Dermic Aesthetics. Reggie launched Sculptra into the US. And so we understand how to bring a high quality, clean, safe product to market, but we also understand how to partner with healthcare professionals.
Especially in the aesthetic space, which when we say we're bringing something that we believe can be relevant to you, we understand it because we know where you're coming from in your business. That's right.
So this is just a quick snapshot. We're in practices from coast to coast, whether they're med spas, dermatology practices, or plastic surgery practices. All of them encompass aesthetic medicine. And so you'll find us in some of the most reputable organizations around the country, literally because of the trust they have in us. And they've been able to figure out very quickly how to utilize or bundle our products into their space.
So Jeff mentioned it earlier, the genie's out of the bottle. We know that millions of patients are spending billions of dollars on CBD. And frankly, they don't understand why you're not in the conversation yet. And what you'll see is we're going to help you meet those patients where they're already at, because right now, as you know, it's perfect timing for you to bring relevant ancillary. You can also, by doing so, you can safely reduce inflammation, pain, anxiety. Those are key topics in the areas of aesthetic practices. We're going to talk about exactly how our products can do that in your practice, and also, as Chad mentioned, have an expert in the field share examples of how they've integrated into their practice. So just real quick, here's the reality of the Wild West market. You've got millions of patients spending billions on CBD, and here's why they take it. If you work from right to left on this slide, the primary reasons they're even looking to try CBD is for pain, sleep, and stress and anxiety. And those three things, as we can probably all attest to, they never travel alone, right? But it's for the sake of overarching health and well-being, right? So if we know that Gallup tells us, it validates these numbers. 1 in 5 Americans are using CBD. 3 in 5 currently see it as valid medical therapy. They want you in this conversation, but you're not fully there yet. And maybe some of you are, and maybe some of you have patients asking you about it, which is why we're here to say you finally have one you can trust. But the issue with the numbers of people who are currently taking it is overall in the US marketplace, there's no involvement of a healthcare professional, and there's wild inconsistencies. And we know that quality is very important to anything that you bring to your patients. There's wild inconsistencies in manufacturing and quality standards, and we'll talk about those. By the way, one thing I was remiss to say on the right, market research with over 2,200 patients that they surveyed that were taking CBD, these are the reasons why they even wanted to think about taking CBD. It's more alternative natural therapies that aren't prescriptions. They were wanting to stop, avoid, or completely reduce prescriptions.
So that Wild West environment has been audited several times, whether it's Penn Medicine, whether it's Johns Hopkins University. This is one of the latest reports, third-party audits from the LEAF report. And they looked at retail versions of CBD. So while this is a busy slide, I'm going to try to simplify it very quickly. One is, you can see LEAF report, they looked at over almost 3,000 products from 136 different brands. If you look over to the top right, one of the things you're going to see is 84% of those products that were third-party tested were off-label or mislabeled. That meant they were plus or minus 15% away from what their label said was in the bottle, being in the bottle. And so that is, for us, for the pharma world, for when precision means something, it really means something to us. You know what you're going to get when you get a Corganics product. On the bottom left in the blue, you'll see a real main effect of this particular third-party audit. 21% of those almost 3,000 products actually contain detectable THC. So why is that important? Because each one of those bottles said they did not have THC. So now you have almost a quarter of them actually having THC. So a patient who is naive going into the retail setting, think they're not getting THC, maybe, and that could jeopardize a career potentially, and or they don't want the psychoactive effect of THC. And this particular audit included very big name brands like Charlotte's Web, CBDMD, and others. So this is just another setting where we have been able to show that the Wild West literally is the Wild West. Oh, this is mine. Sorry, Reggie. So Big Pharma is investing in this setting as well. So coming from the pharmaceutical industry, what we know is Big Pharma knows that there's real science behind cannabinoid therapy. And in this slide, it reflects looking at the top 10 pharma companies and their involvement. There's over 400 patents right now and counting. And a lot of that actually has to do with skin. And we're going to talk about the endocannabinoid system in a minute. But inflammation, skin, pain, sleep, anxiety are all three of those areas are major areas that pharma is looking at, in the tune of billions of dollars being spent right now on the development of prescription-based products. So our products at Corganics are not prescription, but we say they're dispensed. And they're dispensed out of your practice. They are literally supplements, but you're getting pharma-grade supplements that are just rigorously tested. And we'll go into more detail here in a minute.
So this is why people believe CBD works, right? So we have an endocannabinoid system. We were born with it. This is something that all mammals actually have. And its one goal is to help you maintain homeostasis. So that balance that we're always trying to fight to get to, either through supplements or prescription medication, if we get out of the way of the system that we already have, actually have the receptors in place and an endocannabinoid system in place with those receptors located throughout the entire body. We teach your teams this system, by the way, as well as offer other educational opportunities and peer-to-peer programs. But what you need to know is this is why this is when, as Chad mentioned, pharma is coming after this space. But we also want you to have the ability to be able to naturally, safely, and cleanly affect this system without having to resort to a prescription. And we'll talk about some of the specific examples of how you can positively impact this body's natural system without leaning into RXs. So if you look at our quality, Chad mentioned earlier, we can say pharma grade clinical quality because we came from pharma. So we offer you something that is just the highest, safest, cleanest quality with the same certifications. Our products are made in an FDA registered facility that's CGMP compliant. And if you look to the left of that, the NSF certified for sport certification, that's very rare air when it comes to manufacturing. So all the claims that we make, which aren't disease state related or functionally related, it's actually related to what our quality says we can do. And we allow HCPs, healthcare professionals, to connect the dots for you and in their own practice relative to how they see our products work. So truly second to none when it comes to quality.
So we also at Corganics invest in clinical data. We believe IRB approved data really sets us apart from what you'll find in the retail setting. And so as Reggie shared earlier, the main three reasons patients typically turn to CBD or natural therapies is because of pain, sleep, anxiety, but also inflammation. In your setting now, folks are starting to learn, hey, can I drive down inflammation, whether it's skin issues and other, with cannabinoid therapy? So part of our investment let's look at pain, sleep, and anxiety. And we're going to talk about why that's applicable, especially the anxiety side or discomfort around pain with different procedures, etc. This was a study, an IRB approved study with over 500 patients. So not a small study, 500 patients. The primary investigators were at UCLA, University of Washington, and other major research sites. And this particular study was involving our soft gels, our nano-emulsified soft gels. We wanted to standardize dosing with even taking one of those a day. What would that do in these three main areas? And you could see on the left a reduction in pain of over 60%, an improvement of over 50% in sleep, and also a reduction in anxiety by 63%. We're going to go into more detail in a minute about the utilization of these products. But keep your eye on the discomfort and anxiety being something that could be applicable right now with procedures, but also the sleep improvement long term. A lot of your patients are looking for wellness options. And so this is another reason why this study is very applicable to your practice.
Absolutely.
So just a real quick look at our products. We keep it very simple. They're patient friendly, meaning they're easy to take and understand how to take them. And then you can see we wanted to create a clinical packaging look and feel that's elegant as well. What you don't see is even our kits that look and display extremely well. So keeping it simple, on the left side, you've got a systemic oral option. You've got two products. One is on the very far left is our tincture drops. So sublingual under the tongue, we always recommend 15 to 20 seconds under the tongue and swish and then swallow. It comes in organic olive oil. And in fact, because of our sophistication, that's all you taste, which is far different than the retail setting with hemp-based CBD. You get instant absorption within 15 minutes. And we're going to come back to that in a few minutes of why that's important from an anxiety standpoint of getting something quick in the system and even for discomfort. Next in the middle, you see our nano-emulsified soft gels. They look like little vitamin E pills, very easy to take. And because they're nano-emulsified, you get double the absorption you would from anything in the retail setting. They're gluten-free. Some people do care about that. And then on the far right, we have our topical cream. And this is something we're really proud of. This was developed by dermatologists. As mentioned earlier by Jeff, we had extensive executive leadership at Galderma, and we worked with dermatologists across the country. And when we developed Corganics, we leaned on them to help us create the most efficient product but one that felt more like a premium skincare line that rubs on smooth. A little goes a long way. It's also fragrance free and it absorbs extremely well. So we utilize max absorption from an emollient standpoint. So it feels and hydrates almost more like a premium skincare line. So when we think about applying this around procedures, driving down inflammation in a minute, this is what we're talking about.
And on each one of these bottles, going back to our quality, if you say, well, how do we know about your quality? If you scan your patient scan this QR code on each one of our bottles, it's specific to a batch number, and every third-party ISO certified test that we complete on these products are made instantly available, which makes us, along with being clinically relevant, revenue relevant, that also makes us, from a safety standpoint, transparent, and that's very important to us. So we'll talk through some examples kind of where we see. So to what we said earlier, we've got accounts all over the US who are using our products similarly, but in some cases differently. Here's just a very large area of where we see utilization in the aesthetic and med spa space. So you'll hear David talk about some of these, but if you look at where our products can be bundled almost naturally, if you're looking at where pain, sleep, or anxiety reside, or all three, or any combination of those three,
Inflammation.
and inflammation as a root cause potentially. So you're looking at dermal fillers, toxins, Quo, Morpheus, PDO threads, old therapy. I'm sure the list that's coming up in your mind is even longer than this one, but these are just some examples. So without further ado, why don't we turn the floor over to someone at Dallas Plastic Surgery Institute, David Weir, highly accomplished nurse practitioner. He's been in the director of aesthetics at DPSI for a while now, and he's been in aesthetics for going on 21 years. And you've probably seen him if you follow him at all. Many of you probably know him. This is probably a familiar face. He's a global trainer when it comes to aesthetics and lasers, fillers, and other toxins. So, David, I think the audience would like to hear maybe how you've integrated. We've talked about the why behind from our perspective, but they would love to hear from one of their peers. So please take it away, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction. Yeah, so I have been in the aesthetics realm for quite some time now. On any given day, about 50 to 60% of my job is full-time aesthetics, and then 20 to 30% of my day is typically research focused. So I do phase 2, phase 3 safety, efficacy, non-inferiority, and new indication studies for the FDA. And then about 10 to 20% of some of my days might be spent training. So when I brought on this product, I thought it was really interesting whenever I was approached, just because there was a lot of information out there. There was a lot of different products, and you never know which one really to choose. So when I looked at this specific company, and I looked at the standards of excellence and the standards of how they actually test these products, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of nutraceuticals or supplements aren't really regulated by the FDA. So you might get one bottle of fish oil that has 80% fish oil. You might get one bottle that has 30% fish oil. So they were mentioning earlier about how, because there's no regulation on it, you have to find companies that really held themselves accountable. So knowing that these two gentlemen came from actual the farm world, and they were creating a product that actually held up to those farm regulations, made me feel really comfortable. Now, how I integrate it into practice is pretty simple. As far as the surgery side is concerned, we have a surgery bundle that comes with all of our supplements that we want you to take a month before surgery, and then of course afterwards, and we give them the little trio there that you can see in my photo from earlier. We encourage them to take the capsules at night, every night leading up to surgery. Not only does it help to actually put them at ease, but they're sleeping better. We're also helping to pre-treat any sort of inflammatory reaction that we might get in surgery. So we're just getting better surgical outcomes with less downtime, less pain associated with it, less anxiety associated with the actual surgery itself. And then once these patients start on these supplements, when they run out, they're always coming back and they're saying, oh, I need to get those, those little pills that I take every night, because I didn't take them for a week, and I noticed a difference in my sleep. So that's how we incorporate the soft gels. And then the drops, I love the drops. I use them every day in my practice. half of what I do is painful, whether it be a needle in your face from toxin or an HA filler or biostimulant, or something even more aggressive like Ellacor, which is a microcoring procedure, or Morpheus, which is a radiofrequency procedure. While these patients are numbing, I just give them I have little disposable pipettes that I use, and I give them a little drop under their tongue, and I say, hey, this is going to help, help with the anxiety and mellow you out before we actually do the procedure. And then sure enough, 30 minutes later, 20 minutes later, when they've been numbing however long is appropriate for that, they're like, wow, I feel really good. Like, they don't feel foggy or anything like that. They just feel a little bit more relaxed. And then, a relaxed patient is always going to perform better on any painful procedure than someone who is extremely anxious. Now, as far as the cream, again, a lot of the things we do cause inflammation. And we know that some inflammation is good, especially a lot of the skin procedures that we do. Some inflammation is a good thing to have in the healing process to get some of the desired results. But over inflammation can lead to things like hyperpigmentation, hypertrophy of the skin. So a lot of inflammation and a lot of things we do, especially if you do microneedling, microcoring, radiofrequency, chemical pills, lasers, anything that is aggressively treating the skin, we don't want that excess inflammation. So the cream is a wonderful product to use post-procedure. I use it on all my laser procedures post, all my radiofrequency microneedling, traditional microneedling. I don't have them started that day. I have them started the following day with great results. And then even someone who comes in who, as a nurse practitioner, I am full-time aesthetics, but I feel like every once in a while I'm the primary care provider of some of my patients. I'm sure if you're in medicine, you have that, who might say, oh, I have this rash, or oh, I have this, dry skin, or even I have eczema. I have several patients that have been using the cream for their eczema with amazing results. I have a patient that I gave the cream to that I did laser on, and she has been using it in her hands because she has arthritis. So, I mean, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, would I recommend CBD? The answer honestly would be no, because there was no company out there that really was producing anything, and there wasn't a lot of science behind it then. But if you do a quick little Google Scholar search on CBD or the endocannabinoid system, you'll see that there's been lots of publications, especially starting around 2018, of actually how this is affecting the body and how we can use it to not only decrease anxiety, increase the patient experience, decrease healing time, decrease inflammation. They're great products. Now, as far as incorporating them or selling them in my practice, I didn't want to become a CBD store. So I just bundled it in my normal pricing. If I pay, if someone's coming in for a laser procedure, instead of it being, $1,000, it's $1,050. So I'm including it in my price structure because I want them to get good results. And I believe these products will help with their healing, help with their anxiety, and in turn give them better results. So it's just bundled in. Now, once I get a patient on it, that it's bundled into the procedure, as soon as they run out, they're calling. They're like, hey, can you ship me some of that product? Or do you mind if I swing by the office? You sell that stuff, right? And now, I don't know how much we've ordered, but we go through a good bit of it on a weekly basis. And it's a nice, it's your typical skincare markup. So there's great profit margins on it. And my patients are loving it. So, that's briefly, in a nutshell, how I incorporated it into my practice. But again, I'm thankful that there's a product out there that's doing all the work on the back end to make sure that it's extremely high quality, especially until the FDA actually starts regulating some of these creams and lotions and pills that are out on the market. So thanks to the Corganics team for taking that work out of it for me. My patients are satisfied. I've been satisfied. I've never had a patient return it or a patient say, oh, I didn't like that way, the way that made me feel. And now, it's just kind of every day we go through, a couple more because patients call and say, hey, send me another one of those, or I ran out. So it's a great product. I think it fits well into any sort of aesthetics practice or any sort of surgical practice, especially when you're doing any tissue trauma or causing inflammation.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. We appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for sharing your experiences. And I think there was a lot of information there, but if you might have some folks on the line that would have some questions while we have you. So maybe if you hang for a second.
Yeah, of course.
Carolina and Jeff, our hosts, maybe if we can get a feel for if anyone has any questions in the audience or if you've gotten any so far.
Sure, I've got a few here. Question number one, will Corganics provide training / in-services for new accounts?
Great. Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, we do a formal onboarding of practices. The whole thing is turnkey, but we do provide education, both digital education, plus our team can walk folks through a lot of things that were mentioned here earlier by David around bringing practices on, showing you all the digital resources, best practices around bundling, pricing, all of those things. And then also education. We do have a digital online platform called CBD Sure, which is great for anybody really to get a 101 understanding of the endocannabinoid system and how it works. That way, because interesting enough, probably have patients in practices that are far more educated on this already because they're looking for safer, natural alternatives. So it'll be a good win-win. And those digital assets also are very important that we provide, that we see practices utilize in social media. They'll use it in different, maybe they do webinars, they do in-servicing of patients. They do a lot of things that our products, digital assets are utilized with.
For sure. And we'll talk about some of the other things that we provide, but education is an important part. So Jeff, that was whoever has that's a great question, because it's not just about bringing product in, it's about helping to encourage the conversation with people who may already be familiar with it or using CBD and understanding that they now offer. So great question.
Next question, integrating products into practice. What are some of the common examples of how practices are integrating? Did you mention bundling versus charging individually?
Yeah, so David, you just covered that actually, so I don't want to step on what you just said, but I think what David just said is actually exactly what we see the majority of. And so for practices that can bundle it into common services, just as David explained, then it becomes something that's just part of a service that they offer. Maybe it's for ease of pain or ease of discomfort or a comfort kit. We hear that a lot. And then afterwards, just like David mentioned, if they want to continue to order, then we make it easy to do so. And by the way, they do that through you as well. We'll talk about the different ways that happens, but they're not going to Google it and go around the healthcare professional. We're still going to make them come back to you to get product. And David, did I miss any? I hate that we spoke too much there, probably because that was probably a question for you.
No, absolutely. I mean, I originally, when we brought it on, now I have it on my shelf, so people see it when they walk by. So people ask, "Oh, what is that for?" And then I talk to them about CBD. So I have some patients that I don't use it in their treatment that still use it. But the easiest way that I found to onboard it was just to already incorporate it into my fee structure of the procedure that I was doing. And then once they start on it, they feel the benefits, they feel good about it. And then when they run out, they're like, wait a minute, I have to get some more of this. I got to call David. So it brings them back into my business.
Yeah, I want to mention that's one of the things, in the years that we've had Med Results Network, and we've literally had, over 50 contracts on thousands of products. When it came to skincare, some of the skincare companies that you guys know out there, you can get in your office, but yet they can go on Amazon or whatever. So that was a factor in us really finding a CBD partner that we wanted this to be in the practice, stay in the practice, and that the patient would have to go to the practice in order to get more product, which we think is the safest way. Next question. If patients like the products, do they order through us or through Corganics? So I just want
we're tracking. Yeah,
that's a great question. So there are two options, but primarily in the aesthetic space, usually they're ordering primarily through the practice. Now, if somebody doesn't live close, we do offer an alternative where the practice can have an individual code that a patient can utilize on our website. But typically, they're coming back every month or two anyway into the practice. And so we see it both ways. It's either inventory into the practice or a code or a combination of both. We think that's a convenient way to help out and serve our customers, which is the healthcare professional in the practice, which we think is important. I'll add just a quick comment around what we do here in the world of aesthetics is aesthetic practices that are really taking this new approach of whole wellness of the patient. You heard David kind of talk about that, of being really primary care to some degree as well. So when we think of revenue relevance, that is something that continues to pop up with these practices. They were surprised at first how many patients are reordering product for a number of different areas, whether it's pain, sleep, and anxiety, way beyond the procedure, right? And so we think of that as you're building even more loyalty of those patients, right? You're differentiating yourself as an aesthetic practice around their whole health, which we think is a real positive.
Yeah, we know if that many Americans are already taking CBD just by themselves, self-treating, they're definitely sending a clear message around looking for something that's an alternative natural solution to prescriptions. And then, of course, I'm sure many of you agree that if you don't have to prescribe something, then all the better, right? Especially as it relates to a step edit for whole health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things, again, when we go out and partner with somebody, we do a lot of research. We talk to our members, and what kept coming up was, for the surgery practices, they wanted an alternative to pain relief, whether it's, whatever that alternative is. And we talked about CBD, and they wanted to try it. With the med spas, we found that because of the makeup of the providers in the med spa, not everybody can prescribe certain types of pain relief or anxiety or whatnot. So they were looking for an option, not an alternative. CBD, as I said, is here to stay. We think that this can be a viable thing for whatever practice environment you are in. Let me, one more question I've got here. Where do med spas typically price these products?
So that's a good segue, because I guess we can probably just go ahead and talk about pricing now, if that's all right.
Yeah, so from a pricing standpoint, we want to make it accessible to patients. No matter where they are, we want to make it accessible. So this is the base inventory look. So if you look on the left-hand side, that's the base pricing. That's before any volume discounts. Large practices, they will earn or be able to get volume discounting based on volume. But far left is the price of the individual products. We do have 2 kits. You can see those reflected up top. A 2-product kit and a 3-product kit, and there's a little discounting that goes into those as well. And then in the middle section, that's where we see suggested market retail. So it really depends on your market. If you are in Beverly Hills or Manhattan or certain areas around the country that you feel your patients want to spend 100%, if not more, we want you to be able to have that opportunity and that latitude to mark it up. So this is kind of guidance for us of where we see pricing. David, I think, mentioned that what they may do is bundle it in, and sometimes even at cost originally, and then they're paying full freight or full markup when they continue to buy product, right? So that's what you see reflected in the middle. On the right, obviously, that's the margin that's yielded within pricing. In addition to this, you, as part of, if you're a member of Med Results Network, you're going to get a deeper discount, in fact. So we're going to reduce those prices by 10%, which is very, very important, right? So now your margins can accelerate even more. And so it's obviously part of a group purchasing organization. There's definitely member benefits. And so now you can see where those margins are tweaked a little bit to the high side. And then this is the volume discounting, our regular volume discounting. And this would be applied above and beyond the 10% that you're going to start with as a Med Results Network member. So you can see as you go up in the dollar volume of ordering, your discounts can grow as well. So you can see you can get up to a 20% discount based off those base prices that we shared earlier. So maybe one other comment, if you don't mind going back, Reggie. One other comment I think is very important, is we look at the market itself, retail CBD in the market today. Patients are spending well over $100 on their own for a number of these products, whether it's a topical or oral products. they're already accustomed to spending well over $100 for products. Now you're going to be able to introduce a healthcare professional exclusive one that's clinically relevant, that's clinically proven, and one that they can trust. No THC in our products. It's clean of pesticides, molds, toxins, anything else. And so now you're getting the best of both worlds if you're a patient. You're getting an affordable product, but far superior than anything you'd find in the retail setting.
Yeah, even if you bundle it, you can feel very good about the fact that this middle range here that we said suggested market retail, and that's if you're doing individual, but if you're bundling into the price, this is still competitive with what they're buying in a very inferior retail market space. It could potentially even be dangerous. That's a great point.
So that's the pricing. And then we mentioned earlier that we do provide a code, right, also to practices. So if you sign up, and I think Reggie will show even an introductory package or premium starter kit, which is $1,500, which includes all of the products, plus patient education literature, plus free product for the practice to get started, where you have free product that we would encourage your staff to try our products. They become the best champions of products. This is a code that we also provide as part of that $1,500 start. And so you can start to utilize this code for even patients that may live a far distant from the practice that are already taking a CBD. If they're aware of this, they may want to try yours. So we give you a code, we give you a tile like this that can go out in different ways per practice.
So Chad mentioned, we'll talk about ways that you can contact us or we can contact you and make it known through MRN that you were part of this call, part of the network. But if you look at, so I hate to play with the camera here, but this is the box that Chad mentioned earlier. This is our premium starter kit. Very simple. It doesn't overwhelm with inventory. It's pretty, by the way. But also inside of it, the $1,500 premium starter kit gets you approximately 7 of everything that we have, plus some of the kits. We throw in 2 extra of those kits, a 3 product and a 2 product. So you're really getting more than the $1,500 is going to get you an additional up to $500 of retail value in terms of what you can do with those products. Plus, it's free product, and plus we want you to be able to trial it, staff it, and you heard David say earlier he displays it in the practice as well. I think Chad's got, and also you'll get some brochures.
Yeah, you'll get these patient brochures. As you remember, we had, you saw this, the patient education around the endocannabinoid system. So this is this works really well for conversations, by the way, if patients want more information about particular products.
Okay, so I think from a presentation standpoint, that's it from our side. But let's any more questions, Jeff, if any came through?
No, I don't have any more. I just want to thank you guys. And I know I keep emphasizing this. We've been doing this since 2008, going out and signing on partners. And we're not looking just for good deals. We're also looking for quality. And when these guys came into play here with us, we recognize the big pharma background. We recognize the fact that this is venture capital funded, so it's well funded. We also recognize that they have a lot of experience in dermatology as well as aesthetics. So they understand the market. And frankly, a lot of our members recognize these guys. They've been in and out of the practices throughout the years. If you have any questions, you can always give us a call or email info@medresultsnetwork.com. Put your name, number, the name of the practice, and I will connect you with somebody from Corganics. And we want to get you guys set up. Like I said, this is the real thing. This is tested. CBD is here to stay. It's part of the mainstream now, and we want to bring you a great deal with great products with a great company. And I want to thank you all for coming in and watching this.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
Thanks,
Thank
Jeff.
you, everybody.
Thank you.
We've got one more question.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Brian asked, you mentioned nano-emulsified. Are the drops water soluble?
Great question. So the drops, the nano-emulsification are with the soft gels primarily. That's what gives you 50% absorption. So the drops, the soft gels are water soluble and lipophilic. Okay, I think the light's playing with that a little bit there. So these are the soft gels. So those are both. Those are lipophilic and water soluble because they're nanoemulsified. And our drops are simply lipophilic primarily because they're sublingual, and that's just how we formulated it. So, yeah. Great question.
Any other questions? Okay, like I said, if you have any questions, you can go info@medresultsnetwork.com. Please reach out to us. I want to set you up with these guys. This is an asset to your practice or med spa, and this is going to be a great benefit for your patients. Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it, Jeff.
Okay.
Have a good night, everybody.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.